Hey everyone, welcome back to Ameta Academy Friday Lives. Today we're talking about something different. We're talking about multi-directional 360-degree cameras. Now before we get into it, I want to clarify something straight up, straight away, straight up, which is these cameras are not PTZ cameras. So don't confuse it for PTZ cameras that also give you a 360-degree view. When we talk about 360-degree cameras, generally people think PTZ. It's not like that. It doesn't have a ball, like a dome at the bottom, like a traditional PTZ that moves around to give you that view, 360-degree view. Instead, these cameras have 4 different cameras built into it. And then at the time of installation, you can point them at 4 different directions. And in total, in combination, those 4 cameras give you a 360-degree view, right? So what that means is a PTZ, if at any given point in time, when you look at a PTZ, it's facing one direction. Let's say it's facing north. So you don't see east, west, or south. You have to move the camera. You can still see it, but you have to move the camera, either manually or set it on a schedule to patrol, to auto track. That's how it moves. But this camera is not like that. You have cameras with fixed, well, not fixed, but like adjustable positions. But once you set them in those positions, they're not dynamic. They don't move. They stay in that position. And all these cameras work together to give you that 360-degree view all the time. So that's the biggest difference. PTZ gives you 360-degree view when you move it, but these cameras give 360-degree view all the time, all at once. Okay, I hope that's clear. Got it? Get it? Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with how this technology actually works. Next slide, please. So multi-directional cameras, like I talked about, use multiple lenses. So typically 4. And you'll see that when we talk about our specific AI-based models for today's conversation. So those 4 cameras or lenses act like own independent camera. So each lens acts like its own independent camera. So instead of one view, you get like 4 views at the same time. So think of it like 4 independent cameras bunched up into one big housing of 4 of a camera, of a multi-direction camera, right? You can see it on the picture on our slides as well. It's just like a big spaceship kind of design, which has 4 cameras into it, and you adjust the view of the camera the way you want it to be, depending on the need of the project, your requirement, and that gives you that view. And so all 4 cameras pointing at 4 different directions, like 4 direction, north, south, east, west, you get 360-degree view. Because keep in mind, each lens, well, depending on the camera, our specific models that we're going to talk about are 2.8 millimeter, and one of the models is very focal. I don't want to jump the gun here, but depending on your situation, you have fixed lens 2.8 millimeter or zoomable lens that can go up to whatever the specs are. We're going to talk about that, and you have a full 360-degree view with these 4 cameras. Okay, so like I said before, with PTZ you have to move it to see stuff. With this camera, you are always seeing stuff. Okay, so what does that mean? That means no blind spots, no waiting for the camera to turn, and that's very important in certain environments where things happen real quick. Okay, and so you don't have the time for a PTZ to move from one place to another because everything is happening so quick. So you want a camera in those situations or in those scenarios. You are better off if you have a multi-directional camera, which is capturing everything simultaneously. Okay, constant visibility is I guess like the best way to describe it, right? What a PTZ is selective visibility. This is constant visibility. Okay, that's the biggest difference. So I want you guys to remember this. Constant visibility, multi-direction camera. Constant 360-degree visibility, multi-direction camera. Selective 360-degree visibility, PTZ. Now let's look at the AI-based models that we offer under multi-directional camera series. Next slide, please. So model number one, our core multi-directional model or solution, is a camera that comes with four lenses with four independent 4 megapixel streams. Yeah, so each camera is 4 megapixel resolution camera. So in total, all of them 4, 4, 4, and 4. So these are not, just to clarify, these are 4 cameras with 4 different images. We don't have, this camera does not give you like a stretched image like a 180-degree or a fisheye camera, or it does not stitch images like a dual lens panoramic cameras, which takes images from 2 different lenses and stitches them together to make it like panoramic. They don't do that. They have individual, these cameras, these lenses give you individual views, as you will see when we get into the demo part of our conversation today, where Zach's gonna demo the setup. You'll see the images that this camera gives you. So individual cameras, individual images. These are clean, usable camera views, as you will see during our demo portion. As I talked about before, this particular model comes with a 2.8 millimeter lens. So you're getting constant, consistent wide coverage. That's why if you have 4 cameras and each lens is 2.8 millimeter, if you mount it in the center of a room, you have full 360-degree coverage. You know what I'm talking about. It might be even overlap between 2 images, but like overall, you get 360-degree views. Coverage across all directions. Okay, other than that, this camera also has IR and warm light up to 20 meters or 65 feet. So depending on the situation, you can either rely on the black and white through IR during dark time meaning nighttime, or you can light it up by turning on the camera's built-in LED lights if it's outside. Usually people turn it on when it's outside, and indoors they keep it off. Just to reduce light pollution, and they don't want any interference. Something to consider, it has both options. It has built-in dual microphones, so you pick in clean and crisp audio. And it also has the ability to take a 256 gigabytes worth of storage through a memory card if you want to use this camera on a standalone basis and you don't want to add it to an existing system or an NVR. But needless to say, obviously these cameras can be added to AIBASE NVR, VMS, Web VMS, mobile app, what have you, right? It works seamlessly within our AIBASE ecosystem. So that was our core multi-directional solution. Let's look at the other model now. Next slide, please. So the next one is a more advanced version of the camera we just talked about. So this camera, instead of so it still has 4 lenses, but the key differences are each camera lens is 8 megapixel resolution, not 4. So per channel, you get 8 megapixel. So essentially what it is like 4 4K cameras or 8 megapixel cameras into one big housing, which is a multi-directional camera. It has a larger sensor, 1/1.8, and it has better low light performance. Although it also comes with the ability to capture in IR, but because it's a bigger camera, higher resolution camera, the lights are better, so it gives you better low light performance. It has LED lights on it as well across the camera. And then it also gives you 120 decibel of WDR. Yeah, wide dynamic range. Okay, but I guess the biggest difference between this camera and the core model that we looked at before, the 4 megapixel model, is that these lenses are motorized lens. So what that means, you can zoom in, zoom out. So they can go from 2.8 millimeter, which is a wider view, around 110 degrees, to 12 millimeter, which is a very narrow focused, but zoomed in view, right? So it can zoom in and zoom out. So that's what makes this camera more powerful and more advanced than the core model that we have. Because now you can adjust the view per lens, not only just adjust it like the other camera, but also like kind of like focus on certain things if you want to, if the situation requires that. And there are certain projects we're going to talk about during our presentation where these cameras were used before by our actual partners on real projects. You know by now, we kind of do that for every camera model we talk about the real life application, so you actually know how it works in the field. So you will see in certain use cases, it's very important for you guys to have the option available to your customer of being able to see more detail by zooming in. So this gives you that flexibility. Okay, just keep in mind the cameras can zoom in, zoom out, but they don't move like PTZ. Re-emphasizing my point here. Okay, so since we were talking, so that was the model, the two models that we have under this multi-directional series under in our AIBASE security system portfolio. Now let's talk about the projects that I was talking about that have been done by actual our installer partners on actual client sites, right? Okay, next slide, please. So I'm going to share 3 projects with you today. Okay, and like I said, these 3 projects have been done by our partners, and in every case, they chose this camera for reasons that I'll explain when we get into the details of these projects. Okay, so let's start with the first project. So the first project was a retail store. So what is a retail store? As you guys know, not what is a retail store, like what is the general layout? Yeah, that I should say. General layout of the retail store. Multiple aisles, checkout area, customer movement throughout the store, in and out, right? So this store, the project site store, originally had multiple dome cameras for their security and surveillance. But because they were fixed dome cameras, they were dealing with gaps between coverage, inconsistent angles, and a lot of ceiling clutter. Now you can argue that some of it could be solved by like positioning the camera right, but it doesn't solve for like use of multiple cameras and a lot of clutter. Client did not want that. Our partner's customer wanted a more cleaner layout and setup. Okay, so our installer partner replaced several of those with one multi-directional camera mounted right in the center of the space. Okay, so what that did was it enabled each lens to be dedicated to certain different parts of the store, overall giving them a full 360-degree view simultaneously all the time. Okay, so one I remember one lens was facing the aisle to give it aisle coverage. The other lens was focused on the in and out point, like entry and exit points. One lens was focused on the checkout counter, and then the fourth lens was focused on one particular area. In this project, the store had one particular area of the store where they had high value items. So one of the cameras was just dedicated to cover those high value items. Okay, so as you can see, after installing this multi-directional cameras that replaced those fixed lens traditional dome cameras, the customer was able to have one complete view of the space all the time instead of like switching between cameras. Okay, or going through different cameras to get those 360 view. It's just like one camera giving them all the angles, all the views at the same time, all the time. And that's important in this retail use case. You know, like theft prevention is a big thing in retail stores and retail environment. And so by having a camera that gives you multi-directional or 360-degree view all the time, all at once, they were able to track behavior across zones, not just within one view, but across the views through multiple feeds coming in from the same camera. Okay, and that helped a lot with loss prevention cases there. I think, I don't have the numbers on this, but I think it helped them with reducing their overall theft scenarios. Okay, so that was project number 1. Project number 2 was done for inside of a small warehouse. So warehouse, you're thinking forklift traffic, multiple lanes, constant movement. So with fixed cameras, they had fixed cameras before, but they were also replacing it because they had multiple units going bad at the same time. And so at that point, choice was to replace all those multiple units that were going bad by replacing each one of those so they could get the same amount, the same coverage they were getting before, or instead opt for, because it's a smaller warehouse, opt for a multi-directional camera to replace at least at one position to replace 4 cameras, at the very minimum 4 cameras. So that's what they did. So the customers, the customer, our partner's end user, chose this multi-directional camera over these multiple fixed eyeball turret cameras. And same thing, overhead position. In the center, overhead position. So each lens was aligned to a different lane, like the previous example we talked about retail store. Each lane was, different lanes in different areas of the warehouse. And what it did, like the case before, everything was visible at the same time. No missing activity between zones, no missing activity within the warehouse. Okay. And that was very useful in the warehouse environment because safety is a big concern in warehouses, right? So having a multi-directional camera that gives you no blind spots and having the ability to monitor everything simultaneously, the safety angle works really well for them. And generally also like operational movement. The warehouse manager was able to focus on all the patterns and the movements that was happening within their warehouse, and we're able to find some operational improvements too. So guys, I want to use this since we're talking about this point to emphasize something else too, which is like the security cameras these days with the AI and all that kind of stuff, especially with the AI-based cameras that come with all the AI built into it. You don't need these cameras just for surveillance. You don't need to pigeonhole them or box them just for surveillance. You can use them for a lot of like other cases, like operational workflow, as we talked about. In this case, the end user was able to figure out the movement patterns in the warehouse and find opportunities to improve their warehouse operations. So that's a great point to consider, that these cameras are very good tools, not just for surveillance, but also with other operational and business stuff that can help the customer with other aspects of the business as well. Customer, in this case, was very happy that they were able to get something out of a surveillance camera that they were not expecting. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about, not the next slide, sorry. The next project we're going to talk about, the third and the last project, I should say, was a common area of a school. This was a project for a school, but this camera particularly was installed in a common area of that school. And so what is a common area? As we can imagine, it's an open space, a lot of student movement, multiple directions of activity, a lot to capture. So same story like before. Traditional cameras, you would need multiple cameras, more cost, more clutter. So instead, the installer partner gave them an option, and the customer went for it, to go for a multi-directional camera, and install it right in the middle of the space. Most of the time, guys, 99% of the time, these will be mounted, unless you're doing it outdoors, it would be mounted right in the middle, overhead, in the middle, in the center of the ceiling. And overhead to capture the view. So in this case, like other cases, each lens covered a different direction, entry, exit, gathering space, all that stuff that they wanted to look at was captured. And like the example before, in our AI-based cameras, most of them, these cameras come with advanced AI like crowd density and movement tracking. The school was able to use our crowd density feature to gain a lot of situational awareness, right? Not just a CCTV camera video footage, right? So, like I said before, in these use cases, AI-based cameras enable you to make your camera more than just a CCTV video recording camera. It can give you a lot of like other tools and features that come packed into this camera to be able to see to help your customer understand the value of this camera and do not treat it as just another camera. And that, guys, is very important, because that means they cannot just say to you that I can buy this camera off of any like Costco or Walmart and get the job done. No, because this camera is not just about the view. It has, first of all, you can't buy a multi-directional camera from these consumer stores. Anyway, they have to have a professional CCTV system like AIBASE. But within there are other professional systems that do not give you these AI features in the package. But we do with most of our cameras. And so these AI, if and when used correctly, would give you the opportunity to stand out from your competition and close the projects more successfully against your competition. Okay, so just to wrap it up, this section of our conversation about the projects, the pattern is the same, and you should have seen it by now. So multi-directional cameras enable you to have fewer cameras, better coverage, and more context. Yeah, so 3 points. Fewer cameras, better coverage, more context. So remember this when you're talking about multi-directional cameras. Okay? Now let's talk about how to install and position this correctly. Okay? Next slide. I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to position this camera and this category in general of multi-directional cameras. And those 5 tips are very useful. They've been tested in the field, and a lot of our partners have had success using these tips. Number 1, sell coverage, not the camera count. Okay, you're not selling 1 camera. You are replacing 4 camera, right? Different, very different. Very different positioning, right? You gotta make your customer understand. Don't look at it at the housing and say like it's just 1 camera. No, these are 4 cameras into a housing of 1 camera. That means the benefit of CCTV surveillance that you get out of 4 cameras, you get from 1. So sell it as a coverage camera, not just 1 camera as a count. Okay. Number 2. With this camera, as you would have noticed with our project examples that we talked about today, placement is critical. Most of the time, it is in the center. It works best if it's overhead and in the center of your site or room, whatever you're covering. Of course, if it's outside, that's a different conversation. It could be most of the time I've seen these cameras. Myself and also our project partners have done it mounted on the corner of the buildings to give you that view from a corner, especially to remove blind spots. But if it's indoors, inside, anywhere, it's usually mounted in the center, and each lens should have a defined zone to cover at that point. That's the value of this camera. Number 3, assign each lens a purpose. Like I said, each camera lens is pointing in one direction. You can move it. There is some spacing, allowed spacing between the cameras, and so you can move them to adjust sideways and up and down. But you should always have a purpose for each camera, and that's because that's the major point of this camera, to have 4 different cameras facing in different directions, looking at those views simultaneously at the same time. So like our examples, aisle, walkway, checkout, entrance, exit, each lens should have a job, an area to cover. They should have a job to do. Okay. Number 4, use zoom strategically. What I mean by that is not every situation requires lens to be zoomed in, but some situations do absolutely require that, to have the camera that have a zoomable lens. So understand your situation, understand the project needs, and then use the zoom where it's absolutely required. So an example would be the checkout counter or high value items. So you want to have a camera that's zoomed in and focused on that area, capturing as much details as possible and just looking at that particular area. And then point number 5 is is about, again, going back to the very top of our presentation, PTZ versus multidirectional cameras. PTZ is move to see. Multi-direction camera is see everything all at once. Keep that difference in mind. Make your customer understand this difference and help them choose the right camera for a situation, what they need. Constant visibility across the board, multi-directional. Selective visibility, sometime here, sometime there, PTZ. Okay, so these are the 5 tips I wanted to talk to you about. I think I've spoken a lot, so I just want to wrap it up before we move on to the demo part of it, our conversation. The key takeaway here, guys, partners, is this. PTZ helps you look around. Multi-directional cameras help you see everything all the time. Take this approach. It's the best approach. Position it like that to your customer. They would understand the value and the difference between these cameras and eventually would go for the best option as per their need. Okay. Now, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Zach from our tech squad, and he's going to give you a walkthrough of the camera, the setup, the AI, and specifically a very special AI feature that you can only find in our AI-based security camera ecosystem and our AI-based security systems, which is the AI pick. So I'm not going to spoil that for you. I'll let Zach talk about it. So that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Zach. Over to you, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Umar. So we'll go ahead and switch over to the NVR screen here. And what you're seeing here on these 4 different views is our 4 megapixel multi-directional camera. So the things I'll be covering today is a little bit more, going more in detail about this specific camera itself. And then just like Umar mentioned, we have a special AI pick feature that I'll go and do a demo with. So for the camera itself here, you can see we have 4 independent lenses, which can be manually moved. Again, they can't be moved within the software or the NVR or anything like that. You do have to set a fixed position for those lenses. You can move them left to right to get your angles. So you can see here we have the left side of the street, the middle of the street, and then the right side, and then just the back door. It can be fixed to wherever you want it to be. You can also rotate the lenses. So rather than moving them like this, left, front, center, right, you can also rotate the physical lens. So let's say, for example, you're mounting it in a kind of a position where the lens needs to be rotated to see a specific object. The lens can be physically rotated to get a different viewing angle of that as well. But once you do have them set up, they will be added into the NVR. It's one single cable with 4 channels. It will take the same IP. So if I go into the network configuration here or the channel settings, you can see that the IP address is 192.168.1.222 or 122, sorry. And then we have a -1, -2, 3, and 4 for each of the individual channels. So that is something to keep in mind when connecting this camera to your NVRs, that it will take up 4 channels with one single IP address. It is possible, let's say, for example, you have an 8-channel NVR and you want to only assign 2 of these lenses for that specific NVR, but have the other 2 on a different one. You can absolutely do that. So let's say, for example, we have an 8-channel NVR and we only want lens 3 and 4. So we can add lens 3 and 4 to that NVR and then have lens 1 and 2 on a separate NVR, or just have them working independently on their own as a standalone. So that option is there. Moving into the AI portion of it. So since these lenses or 4 separate lenses function independently and have their own views, this also means that they also have their own independent AI. So for our specific use case, which I'll be demoing the AI pick, I'm using pedestrian and vehicle. But if you wanted to, let's say, for example, channel 1, you wanted to do line crossing. Channel 2, you wanted to do loitering detection. Channel 3, we can do crowd density if you're using it in, for example, like a retail store. And then camera 4, we can just do cross counting for entrances. So your in and out zones, it could either be a driveway or a front entrance to a store or just a retail building. You can count how many people are coming in and out of there. So they can all be configured independently, have their own schedules, have their own AI, and everything can be done directly through the camera itself. All with one single IP and one single CAT cable. And so once we have all of that set up, all the AI is working, and we'll go into that special AI search that I was talking about. So for this specific AI search, it does only work on our AI-based cameras with our AI-based NVRs, which would be from a 16 channel and above. And you would need to have the pedestrian and vehicle target detection AI enabled. So as you can see here, by looking at the icon, you could just match it, and you can see that all 4 channels have this AI feature enabled. So what we can do now is if we go back to the live view, there's 2 different ways you can do it. So on the live view, let's say, for example, on this camera, which is channel number 1, we do have a new icon here, which is called AI pick. So you can click on AI pick, and any cars or people that are in the camera view, it will automatically pop up on like a blue rectangle. You may not be able to see this truck here because it is hiding behind the boxes, but anything within a clear view of the camera without any obstructed view, you can select that. So you can click on there, and it will give you different instances of when that vehicle was detected or a similar vehicle. So we can adjust the time frame, click on search, and then at the top here we have a similarity percentage. So if you wanted to get more accurate results, you can increase that, and it'll show you every time that car appeared or that person. And then you can decrease it to kind of broaden your results and get more. It would be less accurate, however, you would still get a wider search result for that. So that would mostly be for live events. So you would have to see that car or that person in real time, and then go into the AI pick. The other option is, let's say, for example, there's something that happened at your business or a specific person that you don't want into that business, but they enter and you need to see where they were at all times. So we can go into playback. And then for this use case, we'll go ahead and select channel number 4 as a demo. And then we can just simply choose a time. So let's say we can go to around here. Let's see. Let me scoot it up a little bit. We'll zoom in on our timeline, and let's see. So on this example, we'll use this UPS truck. So the UPS truck is backing in. We may have to zoom out a little bit. So we'll pause it right there, and then we can select the AI pick. All right, let's see if it'll get it here. Yeah, so now you can see the AI pick is highlighting this UPS truck. So we'll go ahead and click on search. And then as you can see, the percentage is all the way down, so you get less accurate filtered results. But if we change our timeline for the past 7 days, and then we slowly increase our percentage, that'll start to eliminate all of those false alerts. It can be, a different car, different person. So as you increase it, you can see some of those start to get filtered out and moved away. And then if you wanted to, you can also click on that specific instance, and it'll bring up a small playback window here where you can see all of the events of when that car passed by or that person passed by. It'll start from the very beginning of the clip, so you may not see it at first, but once it goes through the entire clip, you can see when they enter, when they exit, and then that'll give you the entire option there. You can also save that clip directly to a USB, or if you're accessing it, it would have to be through a USB because this feature can only be done through the NVR itself. And then you can save it from there and just keep a note of it, and record all of it while it's there. But like I mentioned, since all of 4 channels are using pedestrian vehicle, no matter where this UPS truck is, if we go back to the live view, let's say it was on view number 1, but then moved over to 2 and then 3 and then 4, it will always show that vehicle or that person wherever they were within the camera view, as long as you have human and vehicle detection on. So that would be the main benefit of this AI pick, which again, it's really beneficial for our AI-based systems, especially for your retail, warehouse, and many different use cases that you can use it with. And for this demo, that would be completed. And just to cover, I showed you the 4 megapixel multi-sensor lens. This specific model, like Umar mentioned, does not have the varifocal lens, but it does have the option for just moving them around manually. And then we showed how it has independent views and independent AI functions, as well as covering the new advanced AI pick feature. So that would be the live demo for today, and then we'll take it back to Umar.
Thank you, Zach. That was great. One thing just came to my mind as you were talking about it was this AI pick feature is not just tied to this multi-directional camera. It is available with our AI-based systems. Most of our cameras, when paired with a 16-channel NVR, as Zach mentioned, or above, because our NVRs go from as small as 4-channel all the way to as big as 256-channel NVRs. So for this feature, you have to pair it with a 16-channel NVR and above. Most of them, not to say every camera, but like most of our AI-based cameras, when paired with a 16-channel or above NVR, would give you this feature. That's pretty cool. I mean, I mentioned it last time too. The reason we call it AI-based is because AI is core to the AI-based products and security system. That's why we call it AI-based intelligent security systems. So once you get our system, AI-based system, you get all the latest AI that's available to you when it comes to having an AI built into the camera. Edge AI, right? Every camera comes with AI. So certain features require an NVR like AI pick, but most common AI can be done by the camera on its own. Put an SD card, the camera would do it. Okay, so just wanted to clarify that. Now, we have covered all the things that we wanted to cover today. For this particular Friday, we want to, instead of a Q&A, live Q&A, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some, in fact, 5 FAQs from our installer and integrator partners that have come out from the field to us, from them, as they were working on their projects. They had these questions from them to us. So I wanted to share those 5 FAQs to preemptively and proactively address the question that you may have. But now, that being said, you see a number on our screen right now. So if you have any other questions, feel free to call us. We're always happy to help answer any question that you have. So let's cover those 5 questions that I'm talking about. Number 1. Is this a replacement for PTZ? I guess we have talked about this a lot during this presentation, so I don't want to get into this again in detail, but it's not a replacement for PTZ. It's a different purpose. PTZ is long range zoom with selective visibility. This is full-time constant visibility. Question number 2 that we get from people. Can I zoom in? Well, it depends on the model. We have both options. We have a fixed lens model, which is a 4 megapixel lens, each lens, which is only 2.8 millimeter fixed lens. And then you have the 4K or 8 megapixel model, which comes with varifocal from 2.8 millimeter. You can zoom in all the way to 12 millimeter, but not dynamic movement, right? So you can zoom in and out, but the camera does not move like PTZ. You can, at the time of installation, up and down, right or left. You can, not right or left like this, but also slide the camera right and left. But it will not do it automatically like a PTZ. That's not the goal of this camera. If you need that, you need PTZ. Question number 3. Does it reduce camera count? Yes, significantly in many projects, especially indoor projects. Well, I should also say outdoor projects too. Whatever. Indoor, outdoor, doesn't matter. It does help significantly reduce the number of cameras. That means less work for you guys. Yeah, cleaner project setup for the customer. Everyone's happy. Is installation harder? Question number 4. No. The camera, like Zach mentioned, is one cable. So essentially think of it as you have 4 cameras now powered by only one cable. So installation is not harder. Camera setup is it's easier. Cable run is easier. It's just one cable for 4 cameras. So it's not hard. You need to just focus on the placement of the camera. Once you get the placement right, everything is easy to do. And the last question that I want to share with you guys, question number 5, is how do users view it? They view this camera, view in a sense like, do customer like it? Yes, we have very positive feedback. Who would not be happy to replace 4 cameras with 1 camera? Everyone would be. And then 4 views are available to them. The other view, if you were to think about like how do they actually view the camera, so like any other, if it's hooked up to an NVR and NVR is hooked up to a TV, you can see them simultaneously, all 4 cameras, or on your app or VMS on your computer, what have you. You can view it on any other regular camera. You just have 4 views simultaneously from one camera, coming in from one camera. So those were the 5 questions I wanted to cover today. Now with that, I want to end our conversation for today. As you know, we do it every week. So please subscribe to our channel. Tap on that bell icon so that you get notified whenever we go live, which is every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific or 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you really appreciate what we do here, please click that like so that it gives us that encouragement, that positive feedback, and it helps. We can continue to help our partners like yourself take benefit from these educational conversations. Like always, we appreciate you tuning in. Take care, and we'll catch you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.